Hello there, it's Caleb from thebookflipper.com. We are going to explore some sales rank analysis. This is going to be a little bit technical, but we'll try and keep it streamlined. And the goal of this is to try and help you understand rank. And I know that many of you that sell books or have watched some of my material have a pretty good understanding of rank for books. But what happens when it's time to expand to other categories? We're going to discuss that today. And we're just going to do a little bit of tinkering, as I like to call it, and we're going to walk you through how to understand what's going on with rank in different categories. So as you know, rank is really a snapshot in time. When an item sells, not just a book, when any item sells, it drops down to the level of how popular it was in that category. So one is always the best rank, and then from there it goes on up. There's a couple different key metrics that are important to look at, and so what I've done is drafted just a real basic spreadsheet here, and we're going to look at books first, and then we're going to just look at DVD and hopefully give you the transferable skills to apply this to other categories. So a book rank number 1 would be the most popular book in the last hour that's out there. 2 is the second most popular, etc. We know in the book world that when a book sells a copy, doesn't matter what it was ranked just before it sold, could be 10,000, could be 100,000, could be a million, could be 10 million. When a book sells just one copy after not selling much before, it usually drops to about 100,000. We'll show you that in a second. And then from there, if it doesn't sell again, the rank just keeps going up until it sells and drops down, and we'll show you what that looks like on a Keepa chart. But the goal here is to figure out what are the key metrics in books so that when you see rank, you can quickly digest or interpret it, and then how to build a system that helps you in other categories. So let's jump in. What we're going to do is jump over to Amazon, and if you can just take my word for it, but we're going to go prove it. We're just going to look at books, for example, and we're going to try something really out there, I guess, pebble hunting. Let's just try that, see what pops up. So I've got a couple extensions in place that'll help make this process easier. One of those is, I believe it's DS Amazon Quick View. So that'll kind of give us the rank. So we can find some books that are extremely high rank. This one doesn't have a rank. This one is 13 million. That one doesn't have a rank, not found. Here's one that's a little bit higher. What you want to do is you don't want to find books that are ranked extremely well. If they're under 100,000, they're selling quite often. That doesn't give us a lot of data that we're looking for. So we're going to look for some books like this that are a little bit higher in rank, and we're going to go look at it. So let me show you what we're looking at. We're going to click through to this book. I've got the Keepa extension installed, and unfortunately, there's only 26 days of data, so let's go find a different book. We're going to go look at this Penguin book. Hope we have a little more data here. Again, Keepa is crowdsourced, only 11 days of data. Come on, Keepa, you're killing me. Let's see what else we can get. Let's try the same one, just a different version. Hey, there we go. Okay, so we're going to zoom out to all data and kind of look at that here. And as you can see, this green line is the rank, and that's really all we care about. So let's remove the pricing information and that. So we're just going to look at rank over time. And you can see that rank goes up, 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 up. When it sells a copy, it drops. In this case, it dropped to about 250,000. Again, that's because Keep is not tracking it every single day, so their timestamps are off. We could find some other books that sell somewhat regularly that may have a higher e-score, and typically the rank drops to about 100,000, and that depends on how many books are selling every single hour on Amazon. When it doesn't sell again, you see the rank keeps going up. You can see these flat areas where Keepa hasn't tracked it for several days, but in general, the rank goes up till it sells again and drops down. Again, Keepa missed it. They show it at 700,000. We know that it probably got into the 100,000 range. Here's a couple sales, and we can see again in the 200,000 range. But what we can do from here is you're going to have to take my word for it based on everything else that we've seen in the market, and let's put some commas in place. Let's do just number, I suppose. Okay, so book an hour ago is about 100,000. Anything under 100,000, you should feel pretty good about buying it because it's probably selling more often than that. Again, you can always pull up a Keepa chart or look at e-score to get a feel for that. But again, under 100,000, you're feeling great. 100,000, we don't know. So between 100,000 and where it gets to after a week, we don't know if it just sold one copy or if it's likely to sell again. but we know it sold recently, which is helpful. So what we're going to do is we're going to see here when this sold, it was October 25. We're going to go a week later, which is going to be November 1. And they're missing some data. But a week later, it's about 1.6 million. Let's try this again. Unfortunately, so it sold here on December 5, although it may have sold December 4. So December 5 to December 12 is also about 1.6, 1.7 million. So we know that it sold a week ago. It's going to be about 1.6 million. Let's see what happens after a month. Let's see if we have enough data here. So we go from October 25 to November 25, and the rank is about 3.7 million. And rank does have a memory, so if a book is selling more often than another book, even though they both haven't sold in about a month, the ranks will be a little bit different. That's why you see some textbooks that haven't sold in a month and they may only be at 1.3, 1.4 million. Let's go look at some other books here, just get a feel for that. Again, this is not an exact science, but the idea is to get a rough idea and give some benchmarks in your head for what does rank mean. So let's look at this one. This is about 3 million rank. I think we looked at this before. Oh, nope, we got some data. All right. So again, a book sells. Again, they didn't catch it dropping down to 100,000, but this is August 26. Let's go to September 26, see if it's about 1.6 million. And, sorry, about 3.8 million for a month later. Yeah, so we're roughly the same. So about 3.6, 3.7 million is roughly 1 month. Let's look at 2 months. Actually, let's go to 3 if we can. So let's go to August 26, September, October, November 26, and see what we're looking at. You can see rank starts to flatten out. So November 26, we get a rank of about 5.5 million, so we can plug that in. So I know that many of you will avoid books that are ranked over 2 million or 3 million, and a book that sold just a month ago can easily be ranked 3.7 million. And a book 5 million, which again, most of you are, it's intimidating to see a rank that high, might say, oh, this book hasn't sold in forever. It's 5 million. It's so high. Well, it sold a matter of 3 months ago. The question is it going to sell again? This book, we don't have 6 months of data. Let's go find an extremely high ranked book. I think there was a 13 million one up here. Okay, this one's out of stock, so the rank is going to be a little bit different. Let's see if Keepa's got some data for us. So here's a year's worth of data. You can see this has not sold in a year, and it hasn't sold in 2 years, and the rank has been over 10 million for a long time. So as you can see, the rank doesn't jump up as much. This is over almost a year and 3 months, year and 4 months of data, and it went from 10.8 million all the way up to 13.5 million. So when you get really high, those are ones you want to be a little bit leery of. I wonder if we can find something in the 8 to 9 million range. Let's see if we get lucky. Well, that's all we got. You could try other niche ideas here. You could try some other really random titles to try and get some higher ranked books, but I think that's enough to get going. What I want to do now is look at another category. So we know that books behave in a certain way. If they're under 100,000, they're selling at least a couple copies a day, at least in the relative future or the relative past. Once they've sold one copy, they'll drop down to about 100,000, and then after about a week, they're up to about 1.5, 1.6 million. So again, when you see a book ranked 1.3 million versus 800,000, it's essentially the same thing. One sold 4 days ago and one sold 6 days ago. The question is it likely to sell again? And past performance is usually the greatest indicator. So in books, we have a pretty good idea. Under 100,000 is great. Over million's okay. Over 2 or 3 million, it hasn't sold in several weeks. And you need to have a higher profit to justify buying it, although it still may be likely to sell again. 3 months gets up to about 5.5 million. So anything over that, it hasn't sold in at least 3 months, and your profit better be significantly higher as well. And of course, you can fine tune these to be as specific as you want. E-score is a better indicator than rank, but rank does give you a decent idea. So what about DVD? We know 100,000 is kind of it's sold an hour ago in books. What about DVDs? And we could either do the same thing. We could go into DVD and try and figure that out. I think it's video. We could try and find that out. I actually just have a stack of DVDs, and I'm going to show you how I would actually search. I'm going to go back up to all departments, and we'll just show you how we'd go. So what we can do is I'm just going to scan random DVDs in and see what pops up. So here we go. Here's the DVD. Here's Blu-ray. They should be the same category as far as that goes, but let's go look at the DVD and we'll see what Keepa brings up. So this is a good indicator. Let's kill the other prices. We just want to look at rank. So again, every time it drops, that's a sale, and we can see that about 25,000 is this lower green line, and every time it drops, it's getting to about 17,000. Here it sold a copy and looks like it dropped to 20, actually a little less. Here's one that sold and dropped to about 16,000. Here's one that sold, dropped to 20,000. Remember, Keepa's not updating necessarily every single hour. A lot of times it's more often than that. But we get a rough idea of kind of looking at the depth of the icicles, if you will. So we're not trying to get exactly specific, but we know that DVDs selling a single copy pretty much dropped to about 20, 25,000. In this case, some of them are a little bit higher. But for DVD, we're just going to throw 20,000 just as a placeholder. And we know it's not super specific. But 20,000 is a good metric. So if you come across a DVD in the field and the rank is under 20,000, you can feel pretty good about it that it's selling probably several copies a day. That's really high demand, and even with a small profit margin, it may be worth picking up because it's likely to sell again quickly. If it's right at 20,000, it probably just sold a copy, and you may want to pull up a Keepa chart to look at it. So let's look at a time range here. Here's a sale on July 28. Let's go a week later. July has 31 days, so that's going to be August 4. So August 4 on DVD, we can see the ranks about 110,000. Let's try another drop and see if that holds true. So here's a sale September 12. Let's go to September 19. It's about 95,000. So 95 to 110, probably 100,000 is roughly a week. And again, we're not trying to be exactly right. We're just trying to be directionally accurate to get a better feel. Let's see if we have one that went a month without selling. So here is July 28. Do we get to August 28? Oh, yeah. So August 28, you can see it actually starts to flatten out quite a bit. Part of this is due to rank remembering. So this DVD knows that it sells a fair amount, but it's about 125,000. So let's plug that in. What that means is there's not that many DVDs that are selling regularly. It's not as long tail of a category as books. So in any given month, roughly 3.5 to 4 million books have sold and have dropped under a book that hasn't sold in a month, which is crazy. That's how much volume there is on Amazon. When it comes to DVDs in the last month, only about 125,000 copies or individual titles have dropped under this particular one. So the DVD category does not have as much volume, at least broad, at least the breadth of the market. The individual copies may be selling a lot more. Let's just scan a few more and see what we come up with. So here's a DVD. Again, if we just look at rank, we know that 20,000 is in the last hour, 100,000 is in the last week. So this particular copy probably sold in the 2, 3, 4 days ago, and we can confirm that with Keepa. There it is. So the last sale was February 17, and that's about 3 days ago. So that's again kind of how this helps you. And again, if we zoom out to a year, we can see that the icicles pretty much drop to about 20,000. Sometimes they drop a little lower. But again, 20,000, 15 to 25 is probably a pretty good estimation of selling one copy. Let's scan some more. This is not a long tail, so it doesn't give us a super good indicator. See if we can find something that is in the 200,000 or 300,000 rank. Okay, 24,000. Again, we know 20,000 sold an hour ago, so this one probably sold today. Let's go look, and it's probably selling fairly regularly. Yep. So actually, we clicked on a different one, or it was pulling a different rating actually. So that's Blu-ray. There's DVD. Let's try that. So again, 25,000. It probably just recently sold. Yep, there it is. If you zoom in here, you can see that it just dropped. It was 60,000 and just minutes ago, probably, or hours ago, sold a copy and dropped down. So that's pretty helpful. Let's see again if we can find some longer tail. And again, I didn't plan this in advance. I wanted to kind of show you the curiosity trail as we go. Okay, 1,000, it's awesome. So anything ranked 1,000 is doing really, really well. So that's selling almost all the time. If you could make 50 cents or $1, it's probably worth picking up because it's going to sell so quickly. All right, let's get lucky. 15,000 is under that 20,000 barrier, so it's probably selling regularly. Well, didn't like that. Try again. See if we can't get lucky here. Okay, 37,000 is not going to cut it. 160,000. There we go. Let's go look at this one. So again, we know that 125,000 is roughly 30 days ago. So this probably hasn't sold in a month. And if we zoom out and get rid of the pricing info, that's fairly true. You can see a little bit of a drop here. Sometimes rank gets recalibrated as Amazon cleans up the market, or Keepa was just off. You can see there was time frames where they were missing it. But we can see a sale here, October 18. Let's go to November 18 and see if it's about that 125. It's about 145, so maybe a little higher. And if it goes 3 months, let's see what it gets up to. So October 18, November, December, January 18. Let's look at that. We don't have great data in here. It's about 160,000. So again, the rank really doesn't go up very much. I wonder if we can get a better item to look at. There we go, 180,000. That's a good one. Surprised nobody's watching PBS home video. All right, so here we go. So this one sold a fair amount in the past, but it hasn't sold in a while. And again, we can see here it sold a copy on July 17. If we go to August 17, a month later, let's check our stats. This one went up a little bit higher, about 175,000. So a month ago, maybe more accurate to say it's about 150,000. Again, this is not designed to be exactly right, but we're trying to get a rough feel. And we don't have a couple month lag. Let's see if we get lucky here. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up. 89,000. So again, it sold within the last month. $93,000. Let's see if there's a bigger gap in here. So again, before we look at it, under 100,000 means it sold about a week ago. So if we look at our data, it's sold on February, looks like 15, and we're now at the 20th. So right about a week ago, just under. So again, that's a pretty good indicator to help understand. And again, this is actually pretty great. The icicles, the green lines, drop to roughly 20,000 here, 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 and here. So when that drops, that lets us know that 20,000 in DVDs is roughly equivalent to 100,000 in books. So what does that mean for you? When you're scanning with your scanning app, you get a much better feel what the rank means. So on books, if you get under 100,000, that's a great thing. You should know that it's likely to sell quickly and you can deal with smaller profit levels. If it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 million, you know it hasn't sold in several months, and it still may be worth adding to your inventory, but only if the profit level is higher. In DVD, 20,000 is sort of that magic number. If it's under 20,000, it's selling regularly. If it's between 20,000 and 100,000, don't get too hung up. It just means it sold in the last week. And when it gets up to about 150 to 175,000, we're now talking a month or 3 between when it last sold. And it may be worth pulling up the chart to see if it just sold 1 copy in the last year, for example, or if it's actually selling every other month or so, because that will depend on what kind of profit level you're looking for. So hopefully that's helpful. What you could do then is do the exact same thing with CDs. You could get into video games if you wanted. You could get into toys. But the idea would be you could build out your own chart of information. We'll have some links down below where we put some charts from the other categories if you don't want to do the homework on your own. But if you can't find a rank chart or you need help figuring it out, it doesn't really matter what the 1% is. It really matters what the rank gets to after an hour, a week, a month, etc. So hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing through. I know that was a little bit more technical, but comment below if you enjoyed it, if you have other questions, and how you plan to put this in practice in the field. And good luck out there.